what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of BMGPG. I'll be your host, Bison.
And I'll be your co-host, Ben.
And today we're going to do a full-on mock draft with the Chiefs. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and go check out our TikTok, BamGPG.
That's right, Bryson. So we are on to the Kansas City Chiefs this time. So like our other videos, we are making our way through the 32 NFL teams. And this episode, we have the Super Bowl losers. We get to say that for once, right? They're not the champs this year. So we get the Kansas City Chiefs. So we have the 31st pick in the draft this year, Bryson. So Kansas City, our positions of need here are going to be guard, tackle, and defensive line. So that'll be our positions that we're going to look at here in the draft. Obviously, we'll prioritize those first, but we're also going to look at, best available as well to see if they would be a good fit for the Kansas City Chiefs. So without any more delay, Bryson, I'm going to go ahead and get this draft kicked off here for us. So just a quick recap here of the first round. Let me scroll to the top for everyone here. So Travis Hunter actually had a workout today, the only one before the draft. So he went number 1 overall to Tennessee. And then Abdul Carter, again, the top defensive end in this year's draft, went number 3 to the New York Giants. And then McMillan, top wide receiver. So this is kind of high for him, Bryson. I don't know if I've seen him this high in the previous mock drafts, but he went number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then Cam Ward, top quarterback in the draft, went to the Jets with pick number 7. So that's an interesting one as well. The Bears address their tackle position. Makes a ton of sense there. And then who do we got? Mike Green. So I got him number 2 on the board for defensive ends. He went to the Bengals at 17. And then this mock draft has Green Bay taking the wide receiver, Emeka from Ohio State. So that's an interesting one. I've heard a lot of kind of buzz surrounding him the last couple of days, especially when it pertains to Green Bay. So we'll see. Maybe we will take a wide receiver in the first round for first time in a long time, right? But anyway, that brings us to pick number 31. I'll go ahead and take the first pick here. And again, we need defensive lineman, guard, or tackle. And I'm just looking at the overall board right here, Bryson. Right off the bat, I see Derek Harmon from Oregon. I like him a lot. Let's go ahead and pull him up. So he graded out this past season at an 83.9. He had 5 sacks, 7 hits on the quarterback. This is a number that I love a lot, Bryson. He had 43 quarterback hurries this season. So that's fantastic. Pass rush grade, 86.3. His run defensive grade, also pretty good, above average at 80.5. And let's take a look at his size. So he's 6'5", 310, big body, big interior defensive lineman from Oregon. I'm not going to pass up on him. He's still available here for us. I'm going to go ahead and take him at pick 31. So we'll address our defensive line.
Okay.
So Bryson, that brings us to pick 63, and you were on the clock. So we've addressed defensive line. Still have guard out there.
Look at tackle.
All right. So let's pull up our offensive tackles here. So top guy on the board here is Ozzy Trapilo from Boston College.
Let's take a look at him.
So I got him pulled up here. So he graded out at a 76.8, Bryson.
Yeah, no thanks.
No, we're going to pass up on him. All right. So, and then the next guy would be a tackle from Purdue, Marcus Imbo.
Take a look at him.
So he graded out at a 74, 3 sacks on the season, 21 hurries. Body-wise, he's 6'5", 300 pounds.
You know what? We're not going to get any better, so let's take the first guy on the board.
So
Ozzy Trapilo.
So Ozzy Trapilo. So again, he graded out 76.8, allowed 2 sacks, 1 hit, 12 quarterback hurries. His run blocking grade, right around average, right? 69.9, where he really excelled with his pass blocking grade. He graded out an 80.5 there. Body wise, he's a big boy, 6'8", 309 pounds, coming out of Boston College. So we're going to go ahead and take him as our tackle here for Kansas City to shore up that offensive line. You watched the Super Bowl with me, Bryson. That was, a major weakness for him there. That Eagles defensive line really ate up that Kansas City offensive line. So addressing that early in the drafts, always a good idea, right? Yeah. So we've addressed our offensive line. We've addressed our defensive line. Still looking for that guard out there. But let's see here what we have on the board. So we could take a look at another defensive lineman here, Omar Lott here. So he graded out a 69.4 this year. Not great. Had 5 sacks, 9 hits on the quarterback, and 13 hurries. So his pass rush grades where he excelled. So he's a true pass rusher, 81.6. Run defensive grade, not so great, 68.1. He's 6'3", 315. So I might pass on that. Another position we could kind of shore up for Kansas City. Benjamin Morrison still on the board here. Cornerback, Notre Dame. So he graded out as 71.4 this season. 6 games played. His coverage grade was the 68.4. Run defensive grade was 76.7. His man coverage, what I like to look at when you're looking at cornerbacks, so it's slightly below average, 62.2. Zone coverage was 67.4. Again, this is not on a full season. We're only looking at a snippet with 6 games played. He did have a pretty gruesome injury this past season that, you kind of got to take that into account too. How he's going to respond and bounce back from that as well. But I like Benjamin Morrison as a cornerback. It's a position you can never have too many of. So I'm going to go ahead and draft him for Kansas City right here with our pick 66. So that brings us to 95, Bryson. So we do have a guard here on the big board at Tate Rutledge from Georgia here.
Let's take a look at him.
Yeah, so he graded out Bryson as 74.4, only allowed 1 sack, 2 hits, and 4 hurries. So his run blocking grades right around average, 74.7. Pass blocking grades, slightly above average there, 77.3. And size-wise, he's 6'6", 320. So another big boy. At that size too, there's a possibility you could shift him out to tackle. But I mean, if he's a true guard coming out of Georgia, it does give you that flexibility. It's one of these positions, the offensive line, where you're going to see some shuffling during the season. You're going to see a lot of nicks and dings. So having that versatility to play guard or tackle really, benefits whatever team he's going to be going on.
You know what? I'm going to take him.
So Tate Ratledge from Georgia. So we're going to go ahead and take him, get that offensive line shored up for Kansas City here in this draft. So it looks like we got one more pick on the board here, Bryson. Got a quarterback top of the board here. Don't think that's a great pick for Kansas City, though.
No.
So let's look at this edge rusher here from Boise, Ahmad Hassanian. So he graded out at an 81.4, had 10 sacks on the season, 17 hits, 35 quarterback hurries. Pass rush grades pretty good, slightly above average, 76.9. Run defensive grade pretty good, 80.3 there. Size-wise, he's 6'3", 271. I like him as a edge rusher. We can take a look here at another edge rusher. Antoine Paul Ryland. So he graded out a 78.6, pass rush grade 85.2, on defensive grade not so great, 63.2, 14 sacks on the season. That's pretty good. 9 hits, 25 hurries on the quarterback. He is 6'3", 252. Out of the two, I probably like Antoine. If we're looking at that true pass rusher, he's a guy you can kind of shuffle into the rotation on those passing downs. Again, his run defense is not his strength, but he's a true pass rusher. So I'm going to go ahead and take him for Kansas City, kind of shore up that defensive line a little bit more. I know he's not an interior defensive lineman, but he gives you a great presence on the edge as far as the pass rusher.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and draft him here, Bryson, and then that will wrap up our 4-round mock draft here for Kansas City. So Derek Harmon, like him a lot, defensive lineman from Oregon, A on that one. Ozzie Trapilo, a B- at tackle. Benjamin Morrison, C+ cornerback. He's kind of that wild card there. You don't know how he's going to respond coming back from that injury, but I like him as a cornerback, so we'll see. And then Tate Ratledge, a guard from Georgia, A- on that pick, Bryson. And Antoine Ryland, a B+ edge rusher from Virginia Tech. So overall grade, Bryson, on this mock draft for the Chiefs is a B+. So Chiefs fans, let us know what you think. How would you feel coming out of the first 4 rounds with this roster here? Let us know in the comments who you'd take. And if you have any issues with the guys we took here. So as always, Bryson,
Go Pack, go.